Welcome viewers to this video, which is the second video in a series of videos showing you how to install the VSysto camera system on your motorcycle. We've already mounted the rear camera, and as you can see it's got a purpose designed cover for it, which I made, and we have to get the cable from the camera into the compartment under the seat. And to do that we have to undo two bolts which hold the light cluster in on the back of the bike. Now this is done with a 10mm socket. Now it's very easy to take this off. Once you've undone these two nuts which go through to the light cluster, there is two washers on the back here, and you need to take them two washers off very carefully, because if you drop them you might have a bit of difficulty trying to get them back out the back of the bike. Now here is the socket. It's a 10mm socket on a 1/2-inch drive. So once you've got the nuts off, don't take them off completely with the socket, because they might drop down and you'll have difficulty getting them back. Use your hands. It's a bit tight just to take the nut off the last little bit. Now I had difficulty taking the cluster out after removing the nuts, and the reason being there's two steel washers on there and they are stopping the threads from pulling through to be able to pull the light cluster back. So go ahead and remove the two washers. There's one on each of the bolts, and this will make removal a lot easier. So we give it a go again, and as you can see it does come out. It's a little bit stiff, but once you take it out halfway, all you have to do is wiggle it out at the back of the bike, and it should come out in one piece like so. Once you've removed the light on the back, you have to then poke the cable from the camera through to the cavity below the seat. And once you get the cable into the cavity below the seat, we then need to pull all the slack through from the camera, route it just behind this cable here, so just in there, which is the connectors for the rear light, and then after that we need to replace the rear light. Now to replace the rear light, it's the reverse of how we took it out. It just about fits through the gap. It might be a little bit tight going in. Once you locate it on the two fixing holes and push it back in, it is just ready for putting the nuts on the other side. Now you have two options here. You can either put the nuts on the light to hold it in and bolt it all up, or alternatively, which is what I did, I first of all routed the cable down the right hand side of the motorbike. Now this is a little bit tricky. There's some sort of metalwork behind there and it gets in the way, but once you get a feel of the cable and you know where it is, just grab it with your two fingers and pull it through. It's not impossible, just needs a little bit of patience. Now there's plenty of cable on this rear camera lead. The reason being there's an extension on it. You probably won't need that, but it's there if you need it. Now there's a little connector at the back which goes to your rear lights. It has a little slot in there. It's made of rubber, and that fits onto the metal pin that's on the frame of the motorbike. Make sure you clip that back on. There's just one more little bit of cable routing we need to do. We need to take it down so it's on the lower part of that frame. So take it round the back, pull it through, and then after that it will just feed from there down the right hand side of the motorbike into the compartment which is under the seat. And in the next video we will remove the seat and we will install the main control unit, and hopefully there's enough space under there. That'll be in the next video. And if you disturb any cables or connectors while you're doing the job, just put it all back to where it should be. I found this connector out when I took the seat off, so it was already out, but I'm going to tidy it all up while I'm here. Now that leaves only one job to do, and that is to reattach the rear light using the nuts and washers which we took off earlier. So I'm putting these washers back on, being careful not to drop any into the cavity underneath. Might be a bit difficult to get them back. So first of all, put the two washers on, followed by the two nuts, just hand tight. And then get your 10mm socket and just tighten them up hand tight first of all on both sides. Once you have the nuts untightened, next thing to do is to tighten them up fully using the 10mm socket. The task is made a little bit easier if you lift up the connector that is attached to the tab on the frame. This will be replaced once we tighten up the nuts. There's no need to go too tight on these, but they have to be really secure. So here's that little hole in the rubber that fits onto the tab, which you can see there. Nice and tidy, all back to where it should be. Now we're just going to wrap the cables up and put a couple of cable ties around. So if you get a couple of cable ties, zip ties or tie wraps or whatever you want to call them, everybody has their own names, and we want to take the cables that we've just wrapped up in the tail there, and we want to put some cable ties on just to secure them into one nice little bundle. When you put these cable ties on the bundle of cables, don't make it too tight, because if it's too tight it will have a tendency to damage the cable. So we're going to put two cable ties on here, and then we're going to cut the ends off with a little pair of snips I have there. And once that's done, we're going to tuck all the cables in the back nice and tidily, and that nearly finishes the job off. We just check that everything's all in position, and as we're going to do the control unit at a later date, we're just going to store these cables there under the seat, and we're going to put the seat back on. So here's the seat, and if you know the NT1100, some of the tools are stored on the seat itself. You've got a screwdriver there, Allen key, a fuse puller, and a handle for the screwdriver. So just put your seat back on, it clips in the back, and just give it a tap on the front and job done. So there it is, the rear camera is installed, ready to go. That brings us to the end of part 2, installation of the rear camera. I hope you found this video helpful, and thank you for watching till the end. Bye for now.